Our final testimonial, as we wait for Governor Patrick to come up and conclude our forum, will come from Jerry LeShore. He's a graduate of the Hotel Training Center. He's been working at Fenway Park. Red Sox are not done yet. And he will be working at the TD Garden for the fall sports season. Jerry LeShore.
Thank you very much. Hey, my name is Jerry LeShore, and I want to tell you about my experience at the Hotel Training Center. For 20 years, I worked in shipping and receiving. I was laid off in 2008 because of the economy. In 2009, I took the basic culinary classes funded by SkillWorks. My teacher, Mary, taught me a lot of things. How to use a knife safely, read, convert recipe. I was certified for food safety and practiced the skill in the classroom. After graduating the Hotel Training Center helped me get a job. I started off as a cook at Fenway. I worked at different stands within the park. Now I am a head cook in the stand, and I train supervise other people. This job put a boost in my life. I look forward to going to work and please the customers. When the Red Sox are out of town, I feel bored. I have a 14-year-old son, and he bragged to his friend, "My dad worked at Fenway." In the winter, I work at TD Bank Garden. Without this program, I wouldn't be where I am today. I hope the next government see how important this program is. Thank you for your opportunity to share my story.
Thank you, Jerry LeShore, and I think that was you who made a delicious sausage I had a few months ago. Thank you. I'd like to introduce now Governor Deval Patrick, candidate for re-election. Governor Patrick.
Is this the hot spot?
This is.
Hi, George. You're everywhere.
And I'll just reiterate, we begin with a 2-minute opening statement. We have a helpful timekeeper to keep you on time.
Is that you? Great. Well, thank you very much, Peter. Thanks to the panelists. Thank you all for having me today. I know it's been a full and somewhat long afternoon, and I'm at the end, so I'm admonished to be brief and to the point. First of all, I want to start with some important good news here in the Commonwealth. We have added some 64,000 jobs this year. We are adding jobs faster than any other state in America right now. And that is good news for the 64,000 people and their families who have those jobs, and hopeful news, I think, for those who are still looking. And there are many still looking. Those results are not by accident. They are because we have pursued a strategy based on education, on innovation, and on infrastructure that is making a difference and will continue to make a difference if we stick to it. Education because it's our calling card around the world. We're well known everywhere as a place where our workforce is well prepared. And for that reason, we have invested in public schools at the highest level in the history of the Commonwealth. And we want to continue to fight for workforce development and worker training funds. Innovation because those are the sorts of industries for which a well-educated and well-prepared workforce is uniquely suited. And indeed, where we have a real sweet spot. And infrastructure is the unglamorous work, but necessary work, of rebuilding our roads, our roads, rails, and bridges, our expanding broadband, investing in public and affordable housing, the stuff we need to do that creates jobs right now, but also a platform for economic development and for quality of life going forward. That's why I think it's important to continue to fight for this support in the legislature and in Congress for workforce development funds, and why I cannot and will not support the fiscal policies of my opponents, which would jeopardize that funding. And maybe I ought to stop there, and we'll go to the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll begin the questions with Kurt Nickish from WBUR.
Governor Patrick, you just spoke about the 64,000 jobs that have been added, and by no means is that enough to really bring the unemployment rate, down far enough in the state. It's fantastic, especially compared to other parts of the country. Still, we just got new income and poverty numbers today that showed that the number of, the number in poverty is rising in Massachusetts. The income gap between rich and poor is also climbing.
Nationally.
And in Massachusetts, it's been a longer trend. If Massachusetts is on the mend and on the move, as you like to say, is this sort of mended, patched up Massachusetts the state you want to be governor of?
Well, first of all, a couple of points I'd make. First of all, we are, I know that candidates tend to have a very high opinion of themselves, but I don't think there's any candidate that could have prevented a global economic collapse from landing on Massachusetts. The question is, what do we do? And what we have done is pursue a strategy, not just stand by and rail about unemployment, about what's wrong, but pursue a strategy that is lifting us out, and we're getting those results. That's why we lead the nation in job creation. That's why we lead the nation in student achievement, why we lead the nation in health care coverage for our residents, why we lead the nation in clean and alternative energy initiatives, and there are a host of others. And the question is, are we going to stay on a path that is getting us out of this hole faster than the rest of the country? Or are we going to turn back? Because that's what's on offer from the other very good people who are running. But they are offering instead policies that are of the very nature that got us into this mess to begin with. And I think we ought to call it that. Now, if somebody has an idea about how we accelerate this and get even further ahead of the rest of the country, I'm totally open to that. But what I'm not open to is turning back and standing still and accepting what is happening to working families and working people out there as just the market and our being a victim of it. I think we've got to be about shaping our future, and that's what we've been trying to do.
Shirley Leung.
You've talked about education and how the education system is among the best in the country. But it seems like the real metric should be, how do we compare against schools internationally? Mm-hmm. How do we compare against other countries when so many of them excel in math and science? When you walk around Cambridge, Kendall Square, a lot of the high-paying jobs at biotech or tech, a lot of them held by foreign PhDs. Mm-hmm. What can be done to make sure that Massachusetts not only can better compete with students from abroad, especially now when today's students and tomorrow's students will be working in a global economy? It's
a really important question, and let me offer two responses. First of all, we've placed a fresh emphasis on STEM education, science, technology, education, and math. We have a STEM task force that's working on that and some very concrete strategies to lift this focus in our public schools. We've added the science requirement to the MCAS as a part of that. By the way, we're not starting from zero. Our students rank 5th in the best in the nation on math and science, internationally on math and science on the TIMSS measure, maybe actually higher than 5th. So we're very competitive, but there is a problem within even those good statistics, and it's a problem actually that has lurked for 17 years here in the Commonwealth, and that's the achievement gap. Because for all these years, we've been on a path, on a bipartisan basis, of building greater strength, greater accountability, raising standards and expectations of our children. We have, for that entire time, had a persistent achievement gap. And stuck in that gap are poor children, and children with special needs, or who speak English as a second language, more often than not children of color. It's an educational and an economic issue to have an achievement gap at all. But to let it go for 17 years, that's a moral question. Those are our children too. And with the help of some of you here, we worked very well and very effectively on an achievement gap bill, which gives us some new rules to be able to reach the kids left behind. And our strategy all along was to pursue closing that achievement gap and using these new rules. Because we won the national race to the top competition, we can accelerate that strategy. So I think all these things are parts of a whole, and I hope that's responsive to what you were getting at.
George Donnelly.
As CEO of Massachusetts, you've had great access to leaders and understanding their plans for growth. What have you done directly with specific companies to convince Massachusetts CEOs to grow jobs in the state or to bring outside companies into the state?
I spent an hour or so, an hour and a half at a company just today called Organogenesis. It's a company whose CEO I met in 2007.
They almost went bankrupt a ways back. I want to say about 5 years ago.
I think it was before my time, yes. You should know that they've had a 28% growth rate since I met them in 2007. And I was there today to cut the ribbon on the third building that they are moving into on a campus they are developing in Canton. When I met them in January of 2007, just for those who don't know, this is a company in the life sciences space. They make they're into regenerative medicine, and actually when the CEO came to visit me, he brought a little vial with his manufactured skin in it. It was the creepiest experience I've had as governor, and he sat there and he talked about what this product can do for wound treatment and battle wounds and folks dealing with diabetes and so forth, and where they were going, and the fact that they were at that point seriously considering moving to Rhode Island. This is just today. And we worked very hard with them. They were one of the companies we had in mind with the whole life sciences initiative. There were about 180 or 90 employees then. We got the initiative passed. We made a couple of strategic grants to them. They have doubled in size since then, and they are on their way to doubling in size over the next 2 years. And those jobs are right here in Massachusetts. That's one example. There's another example of a company called Merck. This is the Merck from Europe, who have come to say, actually, they're very like a company called Iberdrola, which is the largest, I guess the fourth largest utility in the world. They're out of Spain. Merck is from Switzerland, I think. Iberdrola's CEO I saw yesterday about consolidating their Americas operations here in Massachusetts. I think we have a good shot at that. They're in the clean tech space, and they're interested in us because of our clean tech initiatives. Merck is here because of our life sciences initiatives, and they've already consolidated their non-European operations here in Massachusetts, and there are lots of examples.
Just a quick follow-up. We've heard from every single other candidate this afternoon that the state should not be in the business of picking winners, so to speak, and yet Massachusetts seems to do exactly that.